From weird, spider-esque BDSM that you all are better off knowing, to the many rituals of spiders mating, the script from James Cameron truly was one of a kind. The Canadian filmmaker has returned to the media spotlight with the premiere of the latest Avatar film that came out last year. Now, that means that along with his many masterpieces in film, we get to enjoy his charming little personality. According to fans, the man's a complete package with his gigantic ego and his controversial opinions. What controversial opinions, you ask? Well, he believes he empowers female characters better than anyone else. And then he continues to make snide comments about well-liked superhero films. But what's the truth here? Well, the reality is that he was never given the opportunity to direct his own comic book-based film. And in hindsight, that may be the reason behind his resentment of Marvel and DC films. A lot of you may not know this, but Cameron wanted to create a Spider-Man movie in the early 1990s. Yep, the man had a lot of ideas. I'm pretty sure you guys are curious to see what kind of script the man came up with. So let's get into it. The remnant of James Cameron's failed endeavor is still floating around the internet, but I'm not gonna bore you with all the irrelevant details and instead focus on the one scene that's going to make you all cringe like never before. His particular version of Spider-Man had a sex scene, and not just the standard kind. This one had a Mary Jane and Spider-Man rooftop sex scene. And let me tell you, it was terrible. That alone says a lot about what was supposed to happen in the rest of the movie, doesn't it? Let's give you guys the specifics though. It begins with Mary Jane and Spider-Man, who isn't Peter Parker for circumstances that aren't made clear, on a rooftop. Because rooftops are right? And MJ, being the head over heels gal that she's always been portrayed as in the movies, is already swooning. The woman's basically in throes as she sees Spider-Man and, I quote, as a perfectly formed masculine silhouette with a soothing, low voice. So steamy, right? With that view, Mary Jane has to lean against a girder in order to feel something solid. Behold, the classic euphemisms. You know what I think? I think James Cameron took Nora Bing's writing advice from Friends to heart. Nora explicitly tells Rachel that all you need to write a bestseller is A, start with half a dozen European cities, in this case, a rooftop, B, throw in 30 euphemisms of male genitalia. This one's a little self-explanatory. And bam, you've got yourself a book. Yeah, it sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Well, someone better call Mama Bing and James Cameron to let them know they need to rethink their writing plans. I hope you guys aren't all cringed out so soon, because we're just getting started with the seduction part of the script. Oh yeah, James doesn't do things halfway, guys. The foreplay starts with Spider-Man saying a little mantra that would bring anyone to their knees. Apparently, the spiders have highly ritualized courtship. The whole thing varies from species to species, and it starts with the male spider waving his front legs or surrounding the female as a way to signal to her that he is not a target or a prey. Man, I can just feel the heat, can't you? Then, as he raises his hands in a dance-like action, he moves in a hypnotic arc around her. That means that it's time for the ritual to commence. Since everyone has seen Spider-Man 3, we are all aware of Peter Parker's sensational dance routines too. So, can you really blame the gal? But I am a little concerned. Isn't it supposed to be Spider-Man, as in Peter Parker? Anyway, it seems like this particular Spider-Man has a kinky side, and no, I'm not talking about the dance moves. So, Spider-Man informs her in a creepy way that he can tell she is interested in acting uncharacteristically indifferent, because that's exactly how women interested in what's coming act like, right? While MJ experiences an entire spectrum of emotions, Spidey takes a completely different turn. He continues by explaining how some male spiders tie up the females in a symbolic manner before mating. So, mimicking that little ritual, he shoots his webs over his arms, resembling a filthy sticky bondage rope. Listen, folks, I wouldn't be able to make this up even if I tried to. Now, I don't mean to kink shame, and I can enjoy some BDSM elements in a mainstream film, but no. Then it seems like Spider-Man wants MJ to close her eyes while he removes his mask, so their mouths can slowly and very sensuously devour each other. The why behind that is again a little unclear, but perhaps he wants to hide his identity. So, while Mary Jane is unable to gaze into his eyes during their special time together, the script reads that she finds him to be mesmerizing, gentle, and powerful. And mercifully, that's the end. I feel like there should be a moment of silence or something. But you can't deny Spider-Man has game. Now, we all know that Cameron regarded himself as a master narrator who was unique among filmmakers. And after breaking down this particular masterpiece, we can certainly decide that it is unique because it didn't end with the R-rated script. Apparently, throughout the whole script, the word Spider-Man, which is written properly with the hyphen, is written as Spider-Man. Yeah, there's absolutely no mention of Peter Parker. If that's a chosen little distinction, we're all unaware, frankly. But if it is, what does that mean? Who's in the suit then? Or is it an actual human spider combo? Because the whole spider ritual consummation part is giving me major doubts right now. One thing's for sure though, the cringe factor is real throughout the whole thing. It surpasses the whole bad fan fiction realm too, because in the script, the author simply spells out everyone's names without respect for grammar or canon. Here's the good news though. The script was rejected. For hopefully pretty self-explanatory reasons, James Cameron's version of Spider-Man never saw the light of day. For starters, the writing in the script has the feel of someone who has never written a good scene or even opened a comic book, or both. And to think, if that sequence had actually played out on the first film appearance in this context, man. One thing's for sure, there would have never been a Spider-Man 2 or 3 or the many new additions of the whole franchise. Zilch. Since then, James has stated that he isn't interested in continuing to work on superhero movies either, claiming that his love of Spider-Man is specific to the character only. Should we be grateful for that? And so, Sony ultimately chose to work with horror master Sam Raimi and David Koepp on the screenplay. The two assisted in launching a period of Marvel movies, which ultimately resulted in the creation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2008. And the rest, as they say, is history. In hindsight, though, perhaps we can forgive Cameron for his writing that was, well, ahead of its time, let's say, because since then, the man has actually produced a number of excellent films. His most recent production, Avatar: The Way of Water, became the 52nd to make $1 billion in its first 2 weeks at the box office. Besides, almost every director has a complete flop on their resume. Fortunately for James Cameron, his never made it to the big screen. That's a wrap on all things cringe.